All right, let's see here. Let go. Can you see and hear me? Let me know, chat. Beautiful. Thank you, Lenina. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to our probably last stream from this site this year. It's good to have you here. We're digging in the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation. Rock's about 142 million years old, with the Utah Geological Survey. We're going to be taking off first thing on Wednesday morning. Tomorrow, hopefully, is just a cleanup and packing up day. We're hoping to get all of these bones collected and back to camp today or tomorrow, basically. So, yeah, things are wrapping up here. You can hear the whine of the angle grinder right now. Ethan is using that to cut off some extraneous pieces of that fossil jacket we flipped yesterday. How many of you were here for that? For the big flip? We had our big limb bone jacket that was actually sitting in the quarry since last year. So we were hoping to get that all moved to the truck, and then we ran into a complication. Ethan found a big old ilium, an upper hip bone, right there in the underside of the jacket. A bonus bone, one we didn't know was in there. So a lot of the rock that we were hoping to remove is going to have to stay, because that's what's holding the ilium in place. So this thing's going to be a lot heavier than we were hoping. Make it work. Good stuff. So we've got a bunch of cool people in the chat. Lenina, Kerber Bonfire, Ash, Matt M33, Caspian, Grim Deviant, Lordy, how are you doing? Hello, Lordy. Jazzy Cat, Mizart Rules, Makeaway, Moana Raw, Fall Machine, Bush Doctor, Sloppy Salamander. Hello, everybody. Yeah. It's going to be, I think, kind of a chill stream today. We only have a few people in the quarry right now because Uncle Don and two of our other crew members, Laura and Marcello, went off to Moab this morning. Don had to have those stitches removed from his finger, so hopefully that's going well. And yeah, so it's just me, Ethan, Jim, we've got Luke, and then Tegan is joining us as well from Utah Raptor State Park. So I'll walk around in the quarry in a minute, but man, we're getting a bunch of dust over there near camp. That was quite the aeolian scouring going on, picking up all kinds of dust and blowing it around. Camp is probably going to be a mess when we get back there. I hope all the lids are still on the action packers. But yeah, good stuff. And it is a bit of a dust bowl in here, Mizart Rules. Yeah. Caber Bonfire, asks how much does that weigh? I'm guessing that jacket probably weighed about 1,000 pounds before Ethan started carving it down. And we're gonna hopefully get it down to about 500 or 600, I don't know. We don't have a scale out here, this is all guesswork. But let me show you. Again, many of you saw the actual flip happen yesterday. And yeah. So be able to carve down a good deal of it so far, but Ethan's going to continue working on that, trying to remove as much material as he can, being really careful to look out for any unexpected bones in there. But this will be something that we get done today, hopefully. Hopefully we can get this back to camp today. That would be ideal. And if not, we'll do it tomorrow. But we're still on track to be able to get out of here on Wednesday, which is good. That's what we need to do. Yeah. Good stuff. Have we, Iguana, done a lot of progress? I'd say we have, yeah. Yeah, we're doing pretty well. Got a lot of good material this year, so we can be proud of that. Part of me almost wishes we had a little longer, but 3 weeks is a solid amount of time. It's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's just about the sweet spot for work out here in the desert. I could maybe go another week, but 1 month would be pushing it, I think. Anywho, for those of you who are just joining us, if anybody's brand new, where are my manners? Let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. So during the summers, that entails going out to the field and doing field work. As a paleontologist, I, collect fossils for various museums around the country. All of the fossils we're excavating here are going to end up at the Natural History Museum of Utah in Salt Lake City, NHMU. The big one up on the hill in Salt Lake. If you ever get a chance to visit, I'd recommend it. Great museum. And we've got one, possibly two new species of iguanodont dinosaur here that we've been excavating. And it's a disarticulated bone bed, so there's just a bunch of different skeletal elements, ribs and femurs, or femora, I should say, tibiae and fibulae, arm bones, leg bones, back bones, even the odd skull bone. But very important. From potentially like a dozen different individual dinosaurs, possibly more. This is, once we get this critter published, critter or critters, it or they will be some of the best known iguanodontids, I should say, in the world, I think. It's going to be pretty good. So anywho, as a paleontologist, I study fossils, and this is how I do science outreach, and how I make my living, believe it or not. The reason I can be out here live streaming from this site is it's only due to the generosity of this community. Good folks who support the channel by subscribing or gifting or cheering. That's how I make my living, and that's what gives me the freedom to come out here and do field work during the summers. I spent a whole month in Wyoming earlier this year, and 2 weeks out in St. George, Utah, and then toward the end of September, be a few miles that way at Laurie's site, working with Josh Lively and crew, digging up some armored dinosaurs. It's going to be a ton of fun, and I'll be streaming as often as I can out there too. Really looking forward to it. But this is the time that we're wrapping up this site. It's always a little bit bittersweet, but I'm glad that it's not a mad dash this year. So long as we can get that big jacket out, it's going to be great. And we've got, he's a big guy, so he should be instrumental in lifting that sucker. It's going to be good. Might have been a challenge without him, so I'm glad he's here. And science in 2025, I know, right? Culixus. Okay, we back online? Let's see here. Beautiful. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. I was talking, what was it, yesterday, about how there's so many different moving parts in a remote mobile live streaming setup like this. And one of those parts is the solar battery. The cord tore on our generator earlier when Ethan was trying to start it, the ripcord. And so well, I guess we can try and plug it into the solar battery that I have. And then he was using that for a while, and then it shut off. I guess there was a little bit of an overdraw, and it shut down the power to the electrical outlets on it, including what powers the satellite dish. So I had to figure out the problem and then restart it, plug it back in, and then the dish has to reboot, and that takes a while. Apologize. Yeah. And but thanks for sticking around through that brief delay there. I hope it was only a few minutes. Not sure what the last thing I was talking about was, but anyway, I'm glad we're here. But yeah, for anybody just joining us, welcome to Paleontologizing. This is our second to last day possibly last day of digging here at the quarry, where we've got at least one brand new species of iguanodontid dinosaur, possibly two brand new species. We're still kind of working on that, trying to figure things out. But yeah, I'm working here with the Utah Geological Survey, trying to do some science outreach as well. As a dino, this is what I do during the summers, and now thanks to the magic of Twitch and satellite internet, when it works, I can share that with all of you. So, got kind of a smallish crew at the quarry right now. Let's go take a look, and I'll give you a quick walk around. So there's the generator. See how the cord on it tore. That's unfortunate, but we'll figure it out. So today in the quarry, we've got Jim and we've got Luke. How you guys doing?
Not bad.
Yeah. Windy, huh?
Yeah, got some specimen tags floating around. Like, hopefully not putting on them.
Ethan started work paring down this jacket so that it's light enough to carry. So this is our big flip yesterday. Contained within here are a bunch of limb bones of our iguanodont dinosaur. So it would be a critter that would look a lot like this. This is iguanodon right here. Our guy is significantly older, about 20 million years older than this guy. So probably a bit more Camptosaurus-like than iguanodon-like, but yeah. And yeah. One femur, tibia, fibula, a bunch of other limb bones potentially, and now an ilium there too. One of the big hip bones. And then we've got Tegan joining us as well today too, from Utah Raptor State Park, right? Yeah, yes. Awesome. It was so cool being able to visit there a couple weeks ago. Holy moly! So
I must have been off that day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were hoping you'd be there, but I think you had just left like an hour before or something.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. But anyway, it's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I like being out here.
Yeah. It's always a little bittersweet when we have to leave, but I'm also ready to go home and get a shower and everything else. So it's gonna be nice after 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. So anywho, right now our main task is just getting this. Been a little bit delayed in that when Ethan found the big ilium in there, but I don't know. Really complain about finding more bones, you know, especially an important one like an ilium. Is it the main difference that you think you found between these two potential?
Certainly the ilia different.
Yeah, okay.
We got road series for both. But now, and you know, like this is associated.
Yeah.
So we have limb bones and stuff that go with that ilium for an individual animal. Then we can look really closely at the femora and say, okay, are there different? Because we have lots of femur, we have lots of tibias, we have lots of every major limb element we have bunches of.
Yeah.
A lot of ischia, a lot of pubes. So what we got to start doing is like laying them all out, then looking really careful at the characters, and can we tell some of these elements apart?
Right.
And then if we can. Then we have to figure out, okay, the femur that have this feature go with this ilia,
right,
and slowly put the story together.
So in a sense, this jacket here, containing all those limb bones, could be really important because it could almost be like a Rosetta Stone for figuring out which morphology of limb bones go with, the ilia and stuff.
And from right over here, we have quite a big animal that's almost, without question, in my mind, an associated skeleton.
Okay.
So we've got a few, and then there's a juvenile skeleton, rib cage, and stuff that we collected further over.
Okay.
Glenn is a articulated partial skeleton.
Okay.
So all these that are clearly parts of individuals will be real key to figuring out how do we do with the isolated bones.
Nice. Okay.
It may be that phalanges, as far as taxonomy goes, are going to be interchangeable.
Sure.
But we'll find which bones are clearly different. I would expect the pubes are going to be diagnostically different.
Gotcha.
Certainly, Iguana colossus and many of the pubes we got here are quite different. So do we have some pubes that look more like Iguana colossus, and others that look different. This is all ongoing research.
Yeah.
It's all like popping out potatoes. Yep.
It's a lot more time consuming and it takes a lot more work than that. Yeah.
But eventually, with any luck and lots of dedicated science, maybe we'll have mounted skeletons of this site. The wrong toe bones, but
very cool. Yeah. We just got a raid from Dino Tinks. Hello, and welcome to Paleontologizing. We're Dig. we're trying to wrap things up over the next few days
Get
here.
ready to jacket Ethan.
But yeah, this is our last big element that we have to get out. So Ethan's working on paring that down. There's a bunch of limb bones in that jacket. At least one new kind of iguanodont dinosaur.
Yeah, we
Pretty
certainly
excited
hope
about
it's from one kind.
Yeah, it would make things a lot easier. Yeah,
It certainly would. It would be. These are the key lines of evidence that are going to be needed.
Yeah.
So, keeping good track of this is the stuff.
Yep.
From here is the evidence from what we got here suggest it's one animal?
Right.
That blob may not be.
Right. Dino Ticks, if you happen to be interested in dinosaurs, which I presume you are you familiar with the dinosaur Utah raptor, or maybe Gastonia? Jim has discovered and named both of those dinosaurs along with scads of others. So here with Utah State paleontologist Jim Kirkland, and it's been good stuff and kind of direct our operation here. So yeah. Bad knees, bad. But still invaluable to have in the quarry. So yeah.
But yeah, it's a very important site because it's certainly the oldest multi-generic, which means a lot of kinds of animals. Ankylosaurs, iguanodonts, theropods, sauropod, diversity of the animals that lived this time. It's probably the oldest in North America.
In the Cretaceous, yeah.
Yeah, in the Cretaceous in North America.
Yeah.
So it's right after the mass extinction at the end of the Jurassic. We do have an older site that we want to do more exploration of this fall sometime. Because that we could find, like it's worth digging in. But we've collected a complete ankylosaur humerus there and scapula, shoulder blade. Clearly not the same animal as what we get in this quarry. It's from a lower level. Without question, it could be within 1 million or 500,000 years of the mass extinction. The end of the Jurassic, based on it's very wet.
Oh, you said we've got an iguanodont that's older than this?
It's a polycanthine.
Polycanthine, sorry. Okay. I was
Scapula,
trying to follow chat and wasn't really tracking what you were saying.
Yeah, the scapula and the beautiful, good humerus. And you put the humerus from here and the humerus there. It's like they're not the same animal.
Nice.
In some ways, it is more like our Jurassic Mimor humerus, but not the same either. Which we kind of expect to be intermediate. Right. Because I do think the Jurassic, Ankylosaur Mimor did survive and may have given rise to the polycanthines. And then one of these things got back over to Europe for the polycanthines in Europe. Cool. And I suspect that Hylaeosaurus, third named dinosaur, is not a polycanthine. And more as a native European ankylosaur.
Interesting, like a Struthiosaur or something.
No, it's
different.
Probably its own thing.
Interesting. Hylaeosaurus
probably came in from an island in the North Atlantic. And our notosaurs probably the same way. They're probably on islands or related. They both hopped off. Right. One to Europe, one to North America. To give rise to the later notosaurs on both.
Cool. Yeah, Hylaeosaurus, like Jim said, only the third dinosaur ever named, way back in like 1830 or something like that.
Yeah, I know. That's well back there.
Yeah. After Megalosaurus was first, and then Iguanodon. Again. Iguanodon. Back in 1825, so that's 200 years ago this year.
The fact that it's not back us to the polycanthines.
Interesting.
Hylaeosaurus. America is where most of them are, actually. And they don't appear to the latter part.
Right. Here, let me just his book, and we'll look at that. You can point at a few things, maybe. If that sounds good.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Take the opportunity to get some water too. Yeah, like I said, kind of a slow day in the quarry. We don't really want to find. We can leave them for next year because we don't want to leave things to worry about them over the next year. Yeah, let me get a little bit of water. Jim's phone for him too. Let's Phone up here. Here's Dinosaur Frontier, Utah at the dawn of the Cretaceous. I've been just gushing about this book because, well, it's brand new, and it's about the work that we do here and the work that other paleontologists are doing in the Cedar Mountain Formation. Many of us are featured in the book, which is really cool, including me. All right. Jim's phone and the book. All right. Wow. Yeah, I got your phone over here too.
Oh, thanks.
Hopefully it's sufficiently charged.
Yeah, it was. Okay, you hold the book.
Yeah, I got the book.
Oh, it's hot up there. I'll try to keep it cooler down here.
Yeah.
Put it in my.
I can plug it back on it. But you just let me know.
I've got a cold thing in there.
Nice.
Bring the temperature down before I turn it on.
Yeah.
These phones don't like overheating.
So where was that?
It's pretty far toward the front, but not.
There it is. Haha. Nice.
Do they have Hylaeosaurus on there? That's too bad. She's focusing on what we have in North America.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not sure I put Leoningosaurus here. Near the bottom of this group, maybe.
So what we're looking at here is an evolutionary family tree of armored dinosaurs.
And it's very much a hypothesis. I'm not in full agreement. I do like Struthiosaur, the European Nodosaurs, off as their own group. Got Europelta there because that's one I got to name in Spain. Very different group. They got the longest legs of any of the ankylosaurs. All consistently. Much longer Nodosaurs, or particularly ankylosaurs.
I wonder why that is. Do you think
it's a character they've got.
They're running or something?
They're faster. They're not speedsters.
No, none of these guys.
But the forelimbs and upper and lower limb elements are close to the same length. I mean the tibia and femur are almost exactly the same length.
Interesting.
That's totally they're like half as long. Tibia versus the femur. So they really have shortened the distal elements. And the ankylosaurs are very much like that, as are nodosaurs, but nodosaurs have somewhat. Here's a nodosaur. There they are. They're all nodosaurs.
Yeah.
Longer legs. And ankylosaurs have very short legs, like the polycanthines. Is it all correct?
Yeah.
Probably a whole radiation saur. What is it? Sarcophagus things that are not so well known from the Jurassic of England.
Right, okay.
They have middle Jurassic ones, upper Jurassic ones, but they're all represented by like limb bones and jaws, just not enough to.
Right.
There may be a whole radiation of stuff, radiation here, and polycanthines came back to England. I think that, sorry, Britain. Susie, Paul, love you guys, but I think, Doblos, I know Mr. Polycanthus in Britain. Nope, I'm sorry, I think they originated here. But I may be wrong. That's how science works. But yeah, this is the big groups. Club-tailed ankylosaurids, which often are thought of as being a crown group, but they're no more crown group than the nodosaurs and Struthiosaurs. All three of these can really be thought of as equally toward the crown. And I suspect, I used to think the polycanthines like Gastonia, Mimorpelta gave rise to the ankylosaurids, were on that line, subfamily of the group. But now, because of features I'm seeing in the pelvis, I'm thinking it's just as likely they give rise to the nodosaurs. They bounce back and forth. Being their own group makes sense. And then they go sister group that came in to replace them. And Ankylosaurs, originated in Asia, probably related to the origins of this guy, Leoningosaurus, down here. Which I'm real surprised to see Leoningosaurus down there. But there was a couple other animals I might have put there, like Chamosaurus.
Okay, yeah, from Mongolia.
Yeah, and they don't have Cedasaurus in here. But Cedasaurus. Cedarapelta.
Yeah.
Cedarapelta is probably in here too. Maybe, in my mind, closer to them, but different analyses pop it between the two. We have a lot to learn. It's a great group. Much more diverse than Ankylosaurs than the Stegosaurs. There's like maybe 12 of them and like 80 of these right now.
Do you think that Ankylosaurs would have been a little bit more like Catholic in their diet than Ankylosaurs, just like eating whatever? Than Stegosaurs, I mean. Ankylosaurs being more...
I think Stegosaurs might have been more specialized.
Yeah, that's kind of...
I look at that narrow snoot that they share, and it's like, okay, these things specializing on the fruiting bodies of like Benetalians.
Yeah, or cycads, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well,
Cycadioids.
I know we even had cycads when they originated.
Yeah, cycadioids. Yeah,
which are Benetalians, whole separate group. They look similar, but they're, in terms of plant paleobotany, they're a very different group. The cones come out at the base of the leaf, stars. Cycads, it comes out of the apex of the growth.
Yeah, the caudex,
and that is like really fundamentally different thing.
Interesting. Okay.
In terms of the way we deal with.
I always assumed they were kind of closely related, but apparently not.
They're not closely related. Both are their own groups. They just both have a. It's like, oh, I got a pineapple, so pineapples are related.
It looks like a cycad caudex.
But no, pineapples they're a flowering plant.
But yes, indeed, baby, gymnosperms is what we're talking about. Non-flowering plants. Yeah. Oh, and Dinosaur Dave wants to know, where would Jim put something like Minmi?
Minmi, I put it.
Yeah.
In fact, in my put it below and Nodosaurs. Recent thing is lumped them in with Antarctopelta.
Right, yeah.
What is it?
Kunbarasaurus.
Kunbarasaurus.
That might be the same thing as Minmi.
No, but they're sister taxa. Zappian one's Alba. Not in the same rocks. But they almost certainly are. But
the other thing, Stegosaurus, is that what you're thinking?
Stegosaurus,
Yeah.
There's a person they lumped Minmi with Stegosaurus, and I don't believe it. Did not think they're related.
Interesting. What looks different about them?
Almost.
Yeah.
We're going to start doing work, and we're going to go back through everything character by character to see a real different outcome than we've been seeing lately on some things.
Gotcha.
But we have a number of things that I'm not sure what the final result will be.
Yeah.
But we just got to really reappraise characters.
Fair, yeah.
And we got to add. There's some characters I really think we need to add. And there's some characters I think are just noise. And this is not easy. Talking to Laura about it. And I think Luke might have some interest. Because maybe who knows? Luke gets into a graduate program that'll let him. Play with this stuff.
Fingers crossed,
I mean, you got to get into a program. I do not have a program. I'm certainly willing, See, Laura's got the advantage she'll have funding to work on. And one of the big things she's going to work on pretty quickly will probably be the neuroanatomy of the Ankylosaurs.
Gotcha.
Because we're micro CT scanning a great diversity of early and mid Cretaceous and Jurassic Ankylosaurs. And she's been working on neuroanatomy of snakes, and she's also going to do some of our Phenodontids brains.
Very cool. Two Atara relatives.
So, so instead of being just a snake brain expert, she will be a brain expert.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Which gives her more legs.
We got a question from Carvau Upeli. Question for Jim and Danny. How would you rate this season? Are you happy with the stuff that you found?
Pretty much. It's been a slower season than on others, but we have gotten some nice things. Certainly we got parts of a massive turtle and be, well, a turtle, who cares?
Yeah.
But it's
would be new.
way different than any other turtle that we've ever gotten in the early Cretaceous or Jurassic.
Huh.
You know, it's a massive turtle. And we want more, but we now know there is a big turtle out there.
Huh.
Characters that we have not. And that, you know, it's something to start looking for.
Sure, yeah.
This is at the beginning of the early Cretaceous. This thing and its relatives were around other levels as well.
I think the thing that I might be most excited about is that potential Digit 1.
Oh, yeah, that was a goodie.
Yeah.
Let's hope that's what it is.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
it's high priority.
We're not sure if our dinosaur should have a thumb spike or not.
Personally, I'm starting to doubt it.
It would make a lot more sense if it were similar to like like Iguanodon.
Well, you look at that jaw, the one with the sail.
Yeah.
Those look like iguanodon teeth.
Right. Okay.
And I would really wonder if that thing had a thumb spike.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's communication between Europe and North America.
So animals can move back and forth. Yeah.
But they're likely island hopping. It's because then across the mountain range.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's not like walking along the beach.
Right.
You know, so it's, you know, to see things change, even evolving as populations shift through these porous barriers, is not unexpected.
Huh.
Now it's, there's the future.
Cool.
Any young people listening, we are just setting the stage for you. There's a lot of stuff, lots of new dinosaurs to be found, and probably massive revelations to be made, that we're not even imagining yet.
It's an exciting time to be a paleontologist, even if funding is difficult right now.
It's a low period. It goes up and down.
Hopefully we'll bounce back from this, and because there's so many new things to be discovered, so many exciting questions to be answered.
Maybe we'll have to just start getting funded by other countries. Korea funded all the work at Mill Canyon Trackside.
Right, yeah.
Korea funded all that work.
Interesting.
People don't realize that a lot of countries around the world are more appreciative of what we got than we are.
That's very true. Holy cow.
I've heard key to the highway for the Northern Hemisphere.
Right. I've heard that's what it's like going to Japan, because some of my friends from Museum of the Rockies would go there for like a traveling exhibit each year. Yeah. And they're like, in Japan, if you work on dinosaurs, you're treated like a celebrity. People love dinosaurs there, and there's such an appreciation for what we do in that part of the world. I really want to visit.
Oh, when I was down by Osaka,
yeah,
we're looking at an exhibit down there. This is big Titanic. Estonia, there's a Falcarius, there's a Utah Raptor. It was like, half your dinosaurs are things I named.
And their museum there? That's very cool.
Old Home Week. That's why I'm so happy that we have Rob Gass.
Yep.
So it actually becomes known globally. We'll see Gastonias and Utah Raptors, and Falcarius. And that, to me, is secret in a little museum in Utah.
Yeah.
Got to come to Price, Utah to see any of these.
Nobody would know about them, yeah.
No one would know a thing.
Uh-huh.
Of course, that book's helping, hopefully.
Yeah, again,
if
you have an opportunity to pick this up, do it.
Of what we're coming up with.
At
all new.
thisearthpress.com. Can't get it on Amazon, can't get it anywhere else. You get it from Krista's website, because she had to self-publish this, because everyone else wanted her to cut corners and fewer illustrations, less text, less detail.
University Press wanted to cut it in half and make it all black and white.
Right, yeah.
It's such a beautiful book. You want them to cut it in half. But they got out of publishing paleontology. It's cheaper to publish history books with black and white pictures.
Right.
You know, and pay for artists. We raised tens of thousands of dollars to get all that original art done.
Yep.
You know,
It's a big deal.
you know, and that was, you know, because artists deserve to be paid.
Speaking of which, actually, do we have that postcard here?
No, man.
Can we show that? Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I give him one to bring home.
I've got one. Yeah,
you do,
Deacon
yeah.
gave me one. Yeah, yeah. So, speaking of why it's important to pay artists and, you know, actually have the human touch there, make sure you get things right, is that, you know, when you cut corners, you end up with this. So this is a postcard that was being sold at Utah Raptor State Park, and this is like, you know, LLM AI garbage art, just complete dog water. Like, what is that even supposed to be? Do you think it was supposed to be Gastonia? Like, what was there?
Yeah, I think so.
Just,
And it's basically
again.
lined as part of a stegosaur, tyrannosaur head on it.
yeah,
I don't know what kind of forelimbs those are, ceratops.
just
and
ridiculous.
forelimbs.
Yeah.
The computer system at Utah Raptor State Park, we have it in as Stegorex
Stegorex.
because that's
Yeah.
the best description I have for it. I'm like,
Stegorex.
it's a Stegosaurus T-Rex.
Yeah, and they put it in the red
Abominable.
rock kind of Moab country red rocks.
Yeah.
But then you see all these big barrel cactuses that you see in Mexico or down in Sonoran Desert. And,
This is
I mean,
garbage.
it's like
Yeah.
everything on that postcard is wrong.
So this is what this animal should look like. This is
Certainly not a
Gastonia right
landscape
here.
you would have found. There were no cactus on the planet
Right.
when that animal.
didn't exist, yeah.
And then Gastonia lived. That animal never lived.
Yeah.
But
Well, yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. So here's
no cactus when they were dinosaurs.
a very kind of drab Gastonia there, done by Jeff Martz, real human artist and paleontologist. But yeah, it looks a zillion times better than this garbage. Ugh. So apparently, a friend of ours. Can I tell the story about Ed and the postcard? Okay. So Ed Simpson, who's a supporter of our work here, and, you know,
Paid for the lunches or the meals for the students.
yeah. He apparently dropped by Utah Raptor State Park and saw a stack of, and he's like, "How many of those you got?" "I'll buy all of them." So he bought all of them and then handed them right back and said, "Destroy these." So, him. Oh boy. So
I know if they talk to me, I know artists that would have let them have access to stuff. Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, why do this abomination
Uh-huh.
instead of talking to
Ugh.
people and
Yeah.
like partners in paleontology,
Yep.
folks? And we know the park doesn't have a ton of money,
Uh-huh.
you know, but heck, you know, selling this stuff when there are artists, you'll get their name out, put it on the back of the card that art by,
Yep.
you know, at least, you know, better yet, thing for the use of their work.
So anyway. For those bits. Appreciate that. Yeah.
You know, it's red flag time out here. Expecting wind.
Yep. Lots of flapping on today's stream. Yeah, Nick Balev says that's straight up from a Godzilla movie. I know, right? Alright, I'm gonna leave this here for and then might have some more questions for you in a sec, Jim. Yeah, Ethan's working on paring down this jacket here. That's kind of our last big thing to do before we can start wrapping up. So, yeah. Hope he's able to get that done soon. Making good progress. Yeah, 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's see what the current temperature is, actually. Let's get my thermometer. Thermometer says. Yeah, 102 in the shade. That's probably about right. But hopefully we'll get some of these clouds drifting over. But I don't know. 92, 82. It's kind of all the same to me at this point. After being out here for 3 weeks. You just kind of get acclimated to the heat and you don't even think about it. It's, especially when we have the luxury of shade tarps like this. It makes things so much more livable. Don't have to be in direct sunlight all day. Yeah. And Charlie's Dragon says, I don't understand how you function in that heat. You just get used to it, you know? The human body is a remarkable thing. Yeah. Let's get some water. Not a whole lot to show you in the quarry right now. Ethan is concentrating really hard on getting that jacket pared down. Tegan and Luke are just kind of scratching around a little bit, hoping not to find anything too important, but maybe an important, easy to collect. But yeah, right now we're trying to wind things down in the quarry because we've got to be out of here first thing on Wednesday. Today's Monday. Our last full day working in the quarry. Usually second to last day, take the last of the jackets out, dismantle the shade tarps, and clean things up. And then we spend the afternoon of the second to last day before departure just packing up camp, trying to get things organized. We have usually we have kind of a hodgepodge last night, like whatever bits of leftovers we have from the previous week, throw them all together and eat the last little bits of them to take it back to civilization. And then start packing up personal gear, and yeah, then the next morning, it's gonna be fully pack everything into the trailers, pack up our tents and personal gear, get into our vehicles, and head out. It's gonna be nice. I've got a hotel booked for myself somewhere in Nevada, and I don't have to make the whole 15-hour drive all in one go, which is nice. So I'll, yeah, make sure I get a nice shower, maybe a couple showers, a good night's sleep, and then drive back home to California. Looking forward to it. And it's true. Joke question, are the others jealous you can't just bail on the hardware? We're all just kind of sitting around today for the most part. Ethan's getting the jacket pared down, but there's not much else we can do until we get that thing out. That's really our last big task of the season. And it's a one-man job right now, so Ethan's on it. Yeah. And I do sleep in a tent. Indeed. In this camera. My tent with the Toyota Prius. So all told, this year I have spent more than 2 months sleeping in a tent every night for 2 months. Because it was 2 weeks, 1 month in Wyoming, and now, so that's, yeah, but I really enjoy it, and there'll be another 2 weeks, so all told it'll be almost 3 full months. It's a privilege to be able to do this, you know, to be able to live within driving distance of something like this, and to know people who are doing this field work, and to be able to come out, you know, help them on the crew, do live streams for outreach. Like, I'm very lucky that I have the opportunity to do this, and I never want to take that for granted, you know. It's a remarkable privilege. And Perseus says, looks like where Obi-Wan lives. Oh, at Tatooine? I think Tatooine might have more plants. I kid. But this is a very, very dry valley right here. You go just outside of this little valley and you get a little bit more vegetation, a little bit more grass and stuff, but here it's pretty dry, pretty desolate. But I love it, you know? This is my home for 3 weeks out of each year, and I always look forward to coming back. Really hoping we get the chance to come back next year. There have been massive budget cuts to to science and a ton of other like public good projects here in the U.S. And we're working for the state of Utah here, for the Utah Geological Survey, part of the state's Department of Natural Resources. Their budget looks like it's going to be cut as well. So I'm really hoping that we can come back next year and continue to dig at this site, continue to find more bones of this new iguanodont. Because we could always use more bones, you know? This year we might finally have a thumb, and that it could answer a long-standing question about these animals. Did they have thumb spikes or not at this point in the Cretaceous? Something we've been wondering about since before we started out here. We might finally have that question answered, which is really exciting. My point in saying that is that each new bone that we excavate has the potential to answer age-old mysteries. Every element that we collect could potentially solve old problems. It's like another piece in the puzzle, and maybe that puzzle piece will be really important. You never know. That's why it's important to come out here and continue to dig whenever we can. Oh, I'm really, really hoping that we can do that next year. Yeah. But yeah. And Sicarado says, why do the thumbs... Well, because later iguanodont like that, and we know this. We've known this for a long, long time. It's primarily like a defensive weapon, we think. And it's one of the really cool things. It's figuring out when iguanodontids got their thumb spikes is like figuring out when rhinos got or something, you know? You can point to that and go, that's a characteristic part of this animal. Like, this is kind of what they're famous for. That's important to understand. But it's also important phylogenetically speaking, so that, ones that do have thumb spikes versus ones that don't, those are important traits that can help you figure out who's most closely related to whom. It also tells you something about the animal's ecology. Like whether it could defend itself with that against predators. Like, these are all important things to know. They're all fascinating. Like, I want to know just because I'm curious about this, because I want to know the answer. But it's also important for understanding these critters as living animals, how they fit into their evolutionary family tree, what they're doing in this ecosystem, whether or not they have a thumb spike is like, it's a big deal, Does that make sense? I hope it does. Yeah. And did rhinos get their horns, or did the horns get their rhinos? What do you mean, Salamander? I'm not sure I follow. The first rhinoceros to have evolved did not have horns. We had a ton of them here in North America back in the Oligocene. So when they start developing horns, it's interesting. Anti-predator thing. It's probably also used for display. And what came first, the rhino or the horn? Definitely the rhino, yeah. Only later rhinos have horns. Yeah. Anyhow. And let's see, do we have another question? Oh, RDA has got a question. How do we know what the head and body sizes look like from just the skull and bones? Just look at a hippo skull. Well, hopefully we find both, So when we're looking at those different iguanodont dinosaurs, like I showed you in that phylogeny, a lot of those are pretty incomplete. So we don't have complete skeletons of them. So we have to look at their close relatives to try and fill in the blanks, but it's still a little bit of guesswork. When working at this site here, each filling in a blank spot on the diagram of that animal, What did their arms look like? What did their legs look like? How long is their vertebral column? How big is their skull? What is its shape? These are all questions that and each new bone that we find helps answer those questions. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Natural Core says, I'm from Russia, and I was wondering if you'd like to visit any places in my country. I certainly would. we do have a few good dinosaurs from Russia nowadays. Dinosaurs like Kulindodromius from up in Siberia, or Allura titan, which might also be from Siberia. A lot of fossils up in Siberia. Yeah. I'd love to be able to go someday. There's so many different places around the world that I would like to visit and excavate fossils in. And yeah, I'm really hoping that I'll get to do some international travel for field work over the next few years. I need to follow up with some colleagues about that and send some emails once I get home. Try and get that ball rolling. But yeah, I've got things to look forward to for sure. Maybe some international travel. It's Russia has the potential to be like a paleontological, but right now I don't think priority for the leadership of that country, unfortunately. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've not done this workout. One of these days soon, hopefully. Yeah. Ah. Ooh. Yeah. And hang on, are we back on? People are talking about the stream being down. No, it looks like we're good. Okay. Yeah, I've been having a little bit of trouble with this lately, where it does seem to be losing signal a lot. And this is a smaller dish than I had last year, so it's much more portable and easy to carry, but it's not as powerful. It's only got 2 antennae in there, I guess, instead of 4. So I might even be bringing the larger one out to Laurie's site, given that it tends to be more reliable than this little one. So we'll see about that. But yeah, in and out all stream. I know, it's frustrating too. Yeah. Anyhow. And Fishing Adventure says, how about Argentina? Well, I didn't want to name names there, but yeah, I'm not going to count any chickens before they're hatched or before the eggs are even laid, frankly. But yeah, there is potential for me to go to Argentina to do field work in the next couple years. We'll see if that happens. I would be thrilled to be able to do that. I'd be over the moon. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. I'm going to try and take you along for the ride if I can. Yeah. And oh yeah, and Dinosaur Dave, it'd be very cool to dig in Australia too. Absolutely. Yeah. And Chaotic Time Traveler says, I met some dinosaur-loving kids over the weekend. They were super excited to hear about the channel. I also met some university students who might be changing their majors to paleo after talking. That's so cool, Chaotic Time Traveler. Holy moly. Really neat. Yeah, the more people we can get working in paleontology, the better. And those of us who are already working in this field and making our living doing that, I think we need to work a little bit other opportunities for other folks to come in. Right now there's too few jobs in paleo, and that number seems to be shrinking at the moment. It's shrinking in general for science in the US right now. But there are things that we can do to try and assuage that. It's one of the things I'm interested in. I'm talking with some folks at SVP about that. Yeah. And here. Sorry, this is all smudged. There we go. Yeah. And Creative One says, if Argentina is signal just as more tricky. Oh, you mean satellite internet should also work down there. It should body than it is here. We're just having issues with the Starlink dish. Is the tilt incorrect on it right now? Let me check on this real quick. And yeah, it says that it's aligned. Yeah. Yeah. An awkward cyborg says, come to Spain, some work in Spain and in Portugal about that. It's really cool being able to compare the different dinosaur faunas between North America and Iberia. There's some important stuff to be worked out there. And and Sicarado says, are dinosaurs any different from continent to continent, like size or shape or something? Oh yeah, holy cow. Dinosaurs on different continents. Well, it's a complicated question. There's no like one answer like, oh, well, all the ones from North America are small and all the ones from Australia are huge. But you do get different groups of dinosaurs that evolve on different continents. Write a huge long book about what we know dinosaur biogeography throughout the Mesozoic. I'll try and give you some highlights, give you a general sense. At the beginning of the age of dinosaurs, during the Triassic period, all of Earth's continents were smushed together in one big landmass called Pangaea. So as a result, dinosaurs were able to spread out to all the different continents right after they evolved. And so you had dinosaurs ancestrally on all 7 continents. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, aka Oceania, and Antarctica too. Dinosaurs on all 7 continents. And then during the age of the dinosaurs, the continents split apart, start going their separate directions. Kind of approaching the arrangement that we have today. And so as a result, different groups of dinosaurs that were isolated on some of these continents started to evolve in different directions. So you get different kinds of dinosaurs showing up. They all evolved from the same ancestral dinosaurs, but then as these you get interesting trends and specializations and stuff. So like, I don't know, you think about the late Cretaceous period. In Asia, the big predator roles are filled by tyrannosaurs on those continents. So T-Rex and North America, respectively, at the end of the Cretaceous. That's not the case on the southern continents. In Africa, you get abelisaurs, these weird, short-armed, kind of bulldog-faced theropod dinosaurs, kind of like head, like Disney's dinosaur movie. You remember those guys? Those are abelisaurs. Carnotaurus is kind of a belisaur. And those are some of your dominant, latest Cretaceous theropod dinosaurs down in the south. Yeah, you get them in Africa, too. Yeah, and then there's other places like, there's to be all kinds of weird stuff going on. You've got Megaraptorans there, you've got, I don't know if we have a but you have like Carcharodontosaurs. Yeah, so it's interesting. Different groups of dinosaurs become dominant on the continents split apart. And then sometimes the continents come back together, walking across land bridges from one continent to another. And we can see that here in Utah, where at the beginning of the late Cretaceous period, North America joins up with Asia. There's a land bridge where Russia meets Alaska, and so you can have dinosaurs migrating back and forth. And so you get all of these Asian groups of dinosaurs showing up here in North America. Things like giant oviraptorosaurs, like Gigantoraptor. Things like, we get a Tyrannosaur move in to North America, probably came across the land bridge from Asia. I think that's Moros intrepidus, little Tyrannosaur. Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And only through really detailed study of the rocks, making sure that like you're really accounting for stratigraphy, you're trying to correlate different strata on the other side of the world, then can you start to like tell this story of different dinosaur groups migrating across different continents when land bridges form, they're able to move across, and it's really cool just seeing these like pulses of migration in the fossil record. This is the sort of thing that, 40 years ago we knew nothing about. And we're starting to piece it together now, largely based on what we're finding here in the Cedar Mountain Formation in Utah. It's cool stuff. Yeah. But yeah. Gigantoraptor sounds like I named it Cesar before too. Yeah. And no, yeah.
Ontogeny.
Formed is like another big planetary body hitting Earth. They're both still kind of molten, and then, yeah, that must have been pretty dramatic. Yeah. Who named Pangea? I'm not sure who named Pangea. I don't think it was Alfred Wegener, but it could have been. Here, Dinosaur Dave, I'll ask your question to the quarry in a minute.
Things getting bigger.
But
Something goes bad.
yeah.
At the end of the Jurassic, it went bad. It's really surprising, and I couldn't tell you if we have, I think it's Carcharodontosaur, but we have nothing. I think it's probably Carcharodontosaur, but it could be a surviving Allosaurid, and then they go extinct. As we don't have all the data, but we have a lot of things that suggest that it's likely a Carcharodontosaur, some sort.
Jim, we had a question in the chat about like dinosaur biogeography and differences in dinosaur populations across different continents. How does Utah help us tell that story with like...
Well, Utah, we have a virtual complete record from the Triassic up through the end of the Cretaceous.
Right, yeah.
One place with lots of good dating through the sequence. Probably the best dated, most densely fossiliferous sequence anywhere in the world.
Right here in Utah.
Yeah, we probably at this point, I think we're like 37 sequential non-overlapping faunas.
Nice.
Which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Because, if we go back 35 years, Utah had 5 faunas that were known, and you had giant gaps in between. And
yeah.
You can all think of looking at, your dinosaur books. Here's the Upper Triassic.
Yeah.
Which was the Triassic,
Yep.
But it was just upper.
Coelophysis, etc.
And then the next page, Upper Jurassic. Sometimes they have a little thing with Deinonychus.
For the early Cretaceous,
early Cretaceous. And then maybe some Campanians.
Sure, Paris.
Some Triceratops. Generally 5 faunas is what you see in any dino book.
Right, yeah.
And, we just now, as I said, they're filling in some places elsewhere, but density of different levels with dates, little tiny marine tongues.
Yeah.
It give us real firm dates, ashes, a number of different lines of evidence that we dated. The Chinese Geological Survey has been over here twice with us, because China's pretty proud of their record.
Yeah.
But their stuff is broken into separate basins that sometimes a basin right next to another basin will have a completely different history. And the correlation, they don't have the stuff to date, except for the eastern China landing and stuff. It's good dates.
Lots of ashes, yeah.
But as you go west, there's nothing datable in it. They've misidentified, including our people over in China, have misdated 30 million years. So it's like it's just almost random sometimes how the correlations have been made.
Yeah.
And slowly, Hailu Yu is working real hard at, indicators to on the history of things over in the West, particularly Tibet and stuff. He's been working a lot in Tibet and pulling this stuff together. But the Chinese came over here twice, and they realized we are the keystone for the entire northern hemisphere. Utah.
Yeah.
Because you correlate so many things into Utah from Europe.
Right, yeah.
And then when we've become an island for a while, the late early Cretaceous.
So North America is not connected to any other continents for a while.
Australia for 15 to 20 million years. Getting a better handle on that now that we know that's pretty true is important. And we have that interval in Utah. We just there's a lot more carbonate on the bone in that interval. So everybody's focusing on the easier stuff. You know, like, well, yeah, we got so much.
Right.
Low-hanging fruit. Yeah, but if you're in Europe, people would shoot each other for some of those sites. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about
Okay, grab a ball.
What?
Get ready to.
Yeah.
Because we're supposed
I'm
to be
paying
windy.
attention, yeah.
It is supposed to be windy.
Yeah.
Red flag warnings are up in Grand County. Yeah, so that means wind.
Tell us a little bit about like the land bridge with Asia. How do you know that happened? Like, how did the dinosaurs help tell that story here in Utah?
Well,
We get that connection with Asia.
it's not just the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You know, I have a good buddy, best man at my wedding, was the USGS in Menlo Park.
Oh, cool.
And Will
Uh-huh.
was working on the Cretaceous marine invertebrate faunas in the Arctic Ocean and the North Pacific.
Okay.
And he was able to document that basically the Arctic dinosaurs and the North Pacific dinosaurs were essentially the same, going up through the Albion.
Okay.
And then about the top of the Albion, they different. And there is, instead of creating a connection, you cut off the connection. So all of a sudden so the Arctic Ocean had more instead of the neighboring North Pacific. And that break is pretty diagnostic. There's a chunk of northern Canada that same time a New Guinea-sized landmass called Rangralia came up and collided into it. That created, at around 100 million years ago, the end of the early Cretaceous, a massive, mountain range, continental collision. Mountain range that went from central Alaska all the way into Siberia, non-stop. The ancestral Brooks Range, the ancestral Brooks Range, and was a continental collision.
Yeah.
Think of the Himalayas, miles high, pretty much when that happened. Okay, when we look at dinosaurs here, we have an endemic dinosaur fauna with these slender tooth. They always say forms. So they're a little more derived than brachiosaurids beyond them, and they may be their own endemic group, close to some of the European stuff. But that's as far as they went. These titanosaur forms.
So they couldn't get past the mountains.
Sauroposeidon, Brontomerus.
Yeah.
No, they had nothing to do with the mountains.
Oh, okay.
They're
Never
an
mind.
island.
Just trying to follow here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're totally an island.
Yeah.
Floating, with no connections, no Alaska.
Sure.
And
So dinosaurs in North
Europe.
America were becoming unique for a while.
Unique. Tyrannosaurs.
No outside influence.
Yeah, these slender. Sauroposeidon, Brontomerus kind of animals. Nodosaurs, totally unique to North America. We developed this endemic fauna, and when we get up to the top of the Cedar Mountain, the mustn't touch it, organic ash. All of a sudden, we start seeing things like Eolambia. Its closest relative in the world is Probactrosaurus.
Right.
Late Albion of Central Asia.
Probactrosaurus from Mongolia, right?
Tyrannosaurs.
And Eolambia from here in Utah.
Yeah, we've got teeth of Pachycephalosaurs. All of a sudden we have clear, evidence that we have Asian animals coming.
Right. They just, those bits of evidence just show up. Like here we've suddenly got fossils from things that look like they're from Asia, because they are.
And that whole fauna spans like a.
Yeah.
And within that fauna, we do have some of the last holdovers of the island. We have, big carcharodontosaurs that eventually tyrannosaurs, remove. We still have a, tyrannosauroid-like animal that they call Rhabdodont, but it's a tyrannosaur. Just, don't go into that.
Okay.
But we start seeing animals with Asian influences. I mean, stuff with our island fauna. Overlapping stuff from China,
right,
and from Mongolia, and basically Lindsay Zano, North Carolina, they're studying that. They're dating how that fauna replaced our fauna.
That's really cool.
There's over 100 taxa, from fishes, amphibians,
from the mustn't touch
snakes,
it, yeah,
lizards, mammals, 22 kinds of mammals.
So that's what, like 50 miles that way?
Yeah.
touch it member of the
right
Cedar
at the
Mountain?
base of the Upper Cretaceous.
Right.
You know, and it's literally, you know, right there at the, you know, Alaska is an open migration corridor.
Yeah.
Into North America.
Critters can walk across from Asia. Yeah.
And you know, basically up above that, everything we see has a very upper to it.
Right.
Start getting, you know, more ceratopsians, more derived.
Uh-huh.
Hadrosaur forms. Hadrosaurs probably don't appear until like the Santonian.
Yeah.
But we see the roots of that whole fauna.
And tyrannosaurs too come over from Asia, don't
Yeah,
they?
Moros.
Yeah.
Touch it. You know, this is another one like Stegosaurus.
Yeah.
You know, we have two kinds of tyrannosaurs in the Morrison. Tyrannosauroids.
Yeah, we've got what is it? Stokesosaurus
And one that hasn't been named yet.
Oh, that's why I haven't
With
heard
the
about it.
skull.
Yeah. Okay.
With the
Nice.
skull.
Yeah.
Joe Surdich and Mark Lowen are working on that.
Cool. Yeah.
Very neat animal. But there's two. And Mark gives me a lot of hard time, which is Tyrannosaur. They want to make our big Therizinosaur here Tyrannosaur real bad.
Really?
And they're now like, it's a Therizinosaur.
Okay.
They really did.
Yeah.
You know, and he's always been on my case. When are you going to find a Tyrannosaur? I don't know. They might have gone extinct and not be here until reintroduced from Asia. Because the stuff we see in the Mustn't Touch It are way more derived. They're really getting like Ankylosaur-ids more than oids.
So you're just to come up with a little
D-shaped teeth in the front.
a laundry list.
Much more derived than what we see below.
So the critters, the dinosaurs that we get here in North America, Mustn't Touch It times, is tyrannosaurs,
Larger ceratopsians.
larger ceratopsians. Okay.
Yeah.
Horns.
Pachycephalosaurs.
Dinosaurs?
Tyrannosaurs. Or derived hadrosaur, you know, ids. You know,
Duckbills, yeah.
You know, the first evidence of some of the thumb spike. Ambia. You know, that's why we're like, maybe there is nothing here with a thumb spike.
Right. Yeah.
And Eolambia retains that from the Eurasian.
Yeah.
You know, guanodontian radiation. You know, maybe that's when we first see a thumb spike. You know, with this, you know, hadrosaur form.
Right. Yeah.
That comes in at the base of the Cretaceous. I mean, there's a lot to learn, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm spouting all this stuff out, like, you know, this is that, but it's what looks like may be happening.
Right. 35
No,
years ago.
No.
So this is all
35 years
pretty
ago,
new.
we had 22 kinds of dinosaurs in Utah, 5 faunas.
and now
So those faunas only had 2 or 3 animals,
right.
except for the Morrison.
So how many dinosaurs do we have from Utah nowadays? What's our official count? It's like 120?
No, well, there's a bunch that aren't named that we know are new dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's well over 140 now.
Over 140.
That are diagnosable individual species.
Wow.
There's just a bunch that haven't been named, but, you know, things that have skulls and stuff that haven't been named.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, you know, and we get so much here, and right now there's no place in Utah where you can even get a PhD studying this stuff. You know, because no one's got money.
Right.
So it's people from other states and other countries
Yeah.
are the source of a lot of our research.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've got 2 young men here that both want to do, you know, graduate work on stuff that may be from this area. I've got to, you know, find a program they can get into. Then they come join us and work on this stuff. But, you know, the University of Utah has no funding, you know, to work on this material.
It's a shame because I don't know if there's folks should take home from this broadcast. It's that Utah's a really special place, and you've an incredible foster. The people who live in this state should be very, very proud of that, and honestly, they should probably support this kind of thing
and
more.
exploit it for tourism. People love this worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, we got Utah Raptor State Park going where Tegan works. And, you know, they still don't even have an exhibit at the quarry, which I'm disappointed in, but I think it'll happen eventually, like it or not. The public wants it.
Yeah.
It would happen. And, you know, I've been pushing this region, you know, for this eastern Utah story, you know, for a Cretaceous fossil monument. You know, you have a group of separated honey holes. We've defined these with hundreds of localities in some of them.
Right.
Managed under one umbrella.
Yeah.
Which I tie to the Prehistoric Museum, where there is a college basing, you know, research on this area from, you know, instead of things from scratch. It makes the most sense to me, but, you know, that may not happen for decades. You know, but the model I've created has been circulated. The Park Service asked me to look at something.
That's good to hear.
You know,
hopefully
but they're not going to be doing anything because they have no budget. You know, so it's just
hopefully things turn around on that front. Yeah.
It'll be great for eastern Utah. There's no doubt. It'll give us something on this side of Arches, and I know they want to build they're working on new exits up north, and you know, new gas station. I saw truck stops going in. You know, it's like, Cisco may grow into a town again. You know, we have a rare earth refinery up there, which is something the United States needs.
Well, we've got like 3 new questions for you all of a sudden. Wait, so the ceratopsids we get in North America, they don't evolve from something like aqualops? Something.
Digging up. A stegosaur, you know, a ceratopsian.
Yeah.
And I've been with Brenda Chenery on some big teeth, like a protoceratop-sized animal, based,
right?
You know, based on teeth, much bigger than aqualops. Aqualops is more like Leoningosaurus. I have a feeling stuff like that because they're so small.
Archaeoceratops,
you know, crossed the whole Europe too.
Yeah.
But the thing that's in the section there at Mustn't Touch It, that's a pretty good set, protoceratops size.
Okay.
And you know, and the teeth are single rooted. They're not like you know, which occurs only a million years later.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like 92 is 98. So 6 million years later, we have animals in North America with brow horns. And in Asia, there are tops from
Tyrannoceratops.
It's very similar to Zuni.
Yeah.
But this thing, you know, they've been really spread out.
Cool.
They got a high wall. They're working hard. She snaps the whip harder than I do. You know?
Yeah.
But they want that animal enough to do it properly and get in context.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I hope I live long enough to see it. You know, because this stuff takes time, folks.
Yep.
You know, most animals, you find them, and it's a decade before you get enough information and research done to properly name it and put it into its proper context.
That's probably going to be the case here. Well, we've been working this site for the past 4 years, and we've got a lot of different elements from here, and it'll be a number of years until
we've
this thing...
We've named a few beasts from here.
Yeah.
You know, Mirasaurus, Yorgovuchia. I'm working on the paper naming the Ankylosaur. Probably being worked on virtually all the photography been constructed because I like to be able to refer to the plates as I write the descriptions. You know, now it's really sitting down with enough time, you know, because I have other hats like calipers and finalizing the descriptions of all this stuff. And it's a lot of material. It will take me a few months to write all the descriptions.
So we had, was it 2 other questions? I'll start with this one. From Sleeping Karma. My son is also called Jim. He's 10 years old and he wants to be a paleontologist for as long as he can remember. What a coincidence. Do you have any advice for young people who might want to become paleontologists?
Look at the world around you. I mean, you may not have any fossils in your neighborhood, but you have life. Even if you're in the city, you have squirrels and pigeons. Pigeons are living dinosaurs. Squirrels are mammals. Look at what they're doing. Keep a notebook, like a diary, where you sketch pictures of things. It doesn't have to be good art, but just sketch things, because drawing sketches and remember things.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's really critical. It's how our minds work. By deciphering, distilling the world around us into art is basically kind of a unit of thing you do, as well as writing. You know, as looking out here is a continuum. Write a paper describing every fraction there. You know, you sketch in approximate shapes, and you know, and then there's more of a slope below, and you're learning how to observe. And you can do that as soon as you can write. Is like have a notebook and sketch and write and think about the world around you and how it works, and that'll give you more, you know, to become a naturalist than anything else you could possibly do. You need to write, so learning to write, writing down is really important. You know, I couldn't spell paper bag as a kid. teachers have called me a jerk. I'm very dyslexic, but I did it, you know, and I photographed and I drew pictures and you know, and learned this stuff. And the way you learn it, you know, it's not just sit there and look at a book and just memorize context.
Yeah.
And you know, reading a book though, even write like, you know, what you thought really was important. You know, is, you know, summarize some things, not necessarily a book report.
Sure.
But just like, oh, this was really cool. And,
Being able to synthesize ideas and put your thoughts down on paper. These are important skills, and we use these as scientists all the time.
And use those as just as human beings.
Yeah.
Writing.
Being thoughtful, you know?
And how to, you know, distill information. If you're a voter, you have to distill information. And these
Develop
are
critical
skills
thinking, yeah.
You need to be a good citizen.
Yeah. It's a good answer. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. We had another question. Any Therizinosaurus claws? And the answer is even cooler, honestly.
I've dug up bunches of Therizinosaur claws.
Not from Therizinosaurus, from Mongolia and Utah, and in New Mexico, too.
Yeah, I've had the great pleasure of naming American Therizinosaurs.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Which is
the
another one
Therizinosaur
from
guy
here,
here in North.
author on too.
Yeah, yeah.
Work on. But yeah, Falcarius was actually the second, because I found Nothronicus, and I was the first one to figure out it was a Therizinosaur, which was really.
Did you get claws from that guy? I know there are, because I have some.
Yeah, we didn't get claws from the hands.
Oh, I thought you have manual claws.
Yeah, we have them from the specimen from Big Water.
Oh yeah. Because I've got 3D prints of those
shoulder
at home.
blades, we got scapula, we got vertebra.
How big are the claws on Nothronicus on the hands?
Very bizarre pelvis.
How big are the claws on Nothronicus on the hands?
They're a bit bigger than Utah Raptor.
Yeah.
You know, the hands are, you know, you put a sheath over them. They're pretty good size.
I've got some at home that I can show you that But yeah, they're cool animals. Therizinosaurs. I think
and
don't
they're
get
probably the first to pull down branches.
Yeah.
You know, because they actually develop a shoulder, and Falcarius really doesn't. But by the time you get to Nothronicus, it's got an arm that it can lift, you know, to like head level. Maybe not like straight above its head, but pretty, you know, supinated, as we say, lifting up.
Yeah.
Pretty dang high. And it's probably to help pull branches down with these claws. And then it feeds is a small skull, selectively feeding on the leaves and things. You know, starts before flowering plants, but really kicks off big time in Eurasia anyway.
I was just going to ask about
flowering
that.
plants. Falcarius is before flowering plants. Gemini raptor, this one, all of the ones in North America predate, except for Nothronicus.
Right.
Nothronicus was around when, you know, the first one we found was in laurel poplar forests.
So that's,
you know,
just as soon as
dominated.
Yeah. So when the flowering plants become more and more common and kind of dominate these landscapes, that's when Therizinosaurs get big. Like Bapiosaurus from like 130 million years ago or something like that, right?
And the first angiosperms were in that thing, but the little water plants.
Yeah, so like Therizinosaurs are not very big until...
That's probably 25 foot.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, shoot.
I
Bigger than I thought.
photographed a nice skull of one with the feathers on it about this long.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Is that the one that you sent me?
Yeah.
The file?
Yeah. When you look at that thing, you know, but yeah, we have coniation and Santonian dinosaur bone beds that are, you know, we know exist, but we have no access to them. I've been wishing there was some big sugar daddy who'd just buy their place. It's not that big. We're talking a third of a square mile or less, quarter of a square mile.
So if you're to buy that
bottom,
land,
but it's a little stretch, and they've got a gate right on this fault. I mean, it's cliffs. You know, so to get in only practical point, if you're going to be digging dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You're going to have a total air support system, which isn't cheap either.
Right. Get dropped in by helicopter every day.
And all your supplies, everything comes in and out on helicopters.
I'd sign up for that crew. Yeah. Interesting. So it could be that, like, is this the advance or the retreat of the Niobrara Sea? That would...
And I think they went extinct, at the Wealden, these early ones.
Yeah.
And maybe even during the Wealden faunal interval, because we still don't have any in the poison strip.
Right.
And, those upper levels,
Uh-huh.
they're all in the yellow cat. We have one Martha raptor, which also next, I should say there may be 5 kinds now. But I've got my name on all 4 of the ones that are named.
Nice.
But anyway, Martha raptor, I'm a little leery if it really is a third dinosaur. But it's in the lower upper yellow cat.
Nice.
But at least 3 different kinds seem to be in the lower yellow cat.
You got Falcarius, you've got the one that Rachel's
Gemini
working on,
raptor.
and Gemini raptor.
Yeah, for all yellow cat.
Okay. Cool.
Space Valentinian.
Gotcha.
And we know there's time in here, So we also, once we get into the upper yellow cat, we have for certain, it's always like the yellow cat's the land of, therosaurs.
Right.
It's a Maniraptor theropod assemblage. Right on top of the Morrison.
Although ornithomimosaurs aren't Maniraptorans, right?
Well,
I think they're just outside of that, right?
Silurisaurian.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, when you get to that point, that stuff. It gets really interesting. So rare as can be in the Morrison, and all of a sudden we come up into this stuff, and we have a big theropod of some sort, but they're not and it's still is there a big theropod at? Maybe not. Certainly one in lower yellow cat. They occur higher, so chances are we have in the upper yellow cat just not liking that lacustrine margin that we see Utah raptor in. We have so much to know, so much to learn. We're just scratching this thing.
So we got another question, I guess, about finances for paleontology. What are the barriers in the way of funding fieldwork, research, PhD programs, that kind of thing?
Money, right now. Almost all the money for graduate school studies in the United States, for sciences, has come out from projects through the National Science Foundation. That whole thing is pretty much gone. We'll watch those pipes. If they come down on you, it'd be very bad.
Yeah.
That's always been a fear. Coming down on phones not good either. This whole thing with the University of Utah, all of a sudden they had their grants are all gone. Grants I've got a grant project I was hoping to hire a student for. Yeah. And apparently my project's not getting funded.
Yeah.
We were told we were getting funded, now we're not getting funded.
Right.
So, I don't have any place I could put a student.
And this kind of comes down from, at a federal level. Science based.
Much of my money's been from Park Service, Bureau of Land Management, inventories. We do the legwork for the science. All that's been stopped. It's dark ages. We're going to have a couple of years with funded science on public land.
Right.
And you can't just, I work for the state of Utah.
Right.
You can give money to the state of Utah. Money's got to be used. And then they'll take 40% in the coffers. So, it's retire tomorrow. I'm not getting any more money staying longer.
Right.
I'm just trying to stay longer to make sure the legacy, what I'm doing, continues, but it may not.
It's a scary thought.
Everybody wants it. The people I work with want to see this continue. But, you know, will reality allow that to happen? You know, it's, you know, I'm a scientist. You got to face reality.
Yeah.
You know, not just wishful thinking.
Right.
Hopefully, some years down the line, will change.
Pendulum will swing in the other direction. That's what we have to hope and,
But
and fight
China's
for.
got to become the world leader in science.
China's taking over.
Yeah, they are taking over, and they're giving it to me. I love China. I'm a Sinophile, and I have a lot of friends in China. Put more money into like than the rest of the world has.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And they're getting a lot of results
Building
out of
museums,
that. You know?
training students.
Yeah.
You know, because they also realize kids in China start loving dinosaurs and they go into medicine.
Yep.
Space science, all these other
Dinosaurs are a gateway into
gateway into science.
Yeah, into knowledge.
Met both feet and arms, legs, and you're seeing the big science schools and museums where, you know, they don't just talk about dinosaurs, they talk about the history of geologic mapping in each province. There's a major geologic museum in every single province in China. You know, bigger than the University of Utah, not museum.
Right.
You know, I mean, some of these are certainly at the scale of some of the biggest museums on the Washington Mall. And just the Geological Survey.
That's incredible, yeah.
For each province.
Man, I want to go to China.
They brought me to China and toured me through some to get my opinion. And you know, I came back and said, you know, we need a better level of propaganda. Because they had like mines, bauxite. Yeah. You know, in Hebei province, a lot of bauxite, a little more. And they have all these, you know, as big as this whole area. Yeah. You know, like model railroaders, but mining complexes and back cars.
Just like a model for kids to play with.
On front, there are all these things, and kids could be running different things.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got like 20, 25 kids, one roast. Bauxite. About it as they do. You know, we have nothing. I've never seen anything like that in the United States.
Yeah, yeah.
They have that. You go around the next corner. It's stuff on, or they have a thing on geohazards, landslides, slope stability. Yeah. And they have things set up where, like, all of a sudden the kid presses a button, and it's all connected. So they press another button, and it all goes back. You know, it's just
really cool.
What?
And getting kids interested in science for science in that country. We need that here.
And cartoon figures, nothing. Teaching flat out science like that, and it's totally engaging kids and families all around. You know, these things, and then
ontogeny.
Everyone's right. They take turns, and you know, you're just moving through. But these places are huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. You know, mapping these devices that, you know, here's a thing that they used back 3,000 years ago to measure distance along the roads. You know, because they were mapping China. You know, while we were basically, you know, before the Romans, it's like Greek. You know.
Yep.
Run. Let's go to the moon.
Yeah.
Time Life magazine. What's new?
I hope we'll be how old these rocks are, and when we're looking at, say, like this mudstone that we have here, sometimes we'll get little pebbles embedded in that.
And those are little chert pebbles that are probably being reworked out of the sand, or that unconformity between the Morrison and these rocks in this area. This rock, you know, we had a thing where it's, well, why is it green? Probably from chloritic clay, which is a non-swelling clay that's green. Yeah. You know, and if there's a little bit of iron in here, but because of the oxidation state of this iron, ferric versus ferrous, is like you change the oxidation state to red. Doesn't take much, you know, rusty iron to make it red, but you change the oxidation state, and it basically turns the green shines through. sometimes you get purple rock, and you know, and thing.
No, but it can tell you a few things.
But it can tell us a few things. You know, you see all those little, that's
gypsum.
calcium sulfate. Those are little roses of gypsum.
Yeah.
On the bedding planes, you know, and below it had a lot of sulfate, a lot of Morrison. And today, soils that form in this country are salt-rich soils.
Yeah.
So the beginning of salt processes today, this is young. Those little crystal plates, they're forming, you know.
That's so modern.
Yeah, it's happening. Whoa, grab my...
I think we're doing okay over here. I have everything pretty well tied down. Oh, except that one. Just gonna hold this in place. Goodness, the wind. All right, it's dying down a bit. And we should have that leg tightened down so this doesn't do this. There we
Red
go.
Flag Day in Grant County. Don't light a fire because it can move really fast today.
There we go. I know, it's funny. Give us a primer on the geology here when honestly there's so much going on and there's like so much background knowledge that we have to impart in order for some of these things to make sense. You know? I don't think a lot of people realize how complicated, complex, multifaceted geology is, you know? Yeah.
Going in?
I talk about this all the time on stream, how, you know, physics gets a lot of attention, and a lot of people go, oh, physics, queen of the sciences. It's the most sciencey of all the sciences. When in reality, it's
That's break.
kind of by definition the most simple of the sciences. In physics, you're dealing with the fewest variables. You've got the fewest levels of complexity. You're dealing with the basic building blocks of the universe. When you get up higher and, you know, you add on levels of complexity, then you get things like chemistry, which is, you can think of as applied physics. Geology can be thought of as applied chemistry and applied physics. And then things like paleontology, you have geology mixed with biology, the study of life. And so you just have these added levels of complexity like this. Things just get more and more and more complicated. When we're looking at these rocks here, we can pick these up like I was doing with Jim and go, okay, this is a mudstone right here.
We can talk again when you're ready.
Yeah. Sorry about the interruption there.
Yeah, well, we got to pay attention to these too.
Of course,
But
yeah.
If it blows, I would jump to that pole right there.
This one here?
Yeah,
Okay.
closer to you, but
Sure. That one there, the leg actually fell out, so I had to reattach that. I should probably tie that one down a little bit better, honestly, because the rope's getting a little loose. But it should be okay for now, I think.
I'm expecting. What time is it?
It's almost 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I expect Don to show up any moment.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, those guys.
Cool. Yeah. But
Okay, go on and how we're dating these rocks.
yeah, how in the world can we?
The clays. You know, like early on, you know, the first thing we had going for us were the dinosaurs. We found Gastonia. It was one of the first animals we found out here.
Yeah.
Quickly, I realized its closest relative was Polacanthus foxi in Britain,
Right.
in the Upper Wealden.
So this dinosaur looked really similar to that one.
Yeah, it's certainly related to the same subfamily, however you want to group them.
Yeah.
But basically, you know, that stuff is Birimian in age. You know, they've been digging that stuff up for.
And they've got a pretty good handle
I
on
got
how
a
old
good
that
handle
is.
on the age.
Yeah.
So it's Birimian without question. You know, this little marine tongue comes right in. It's got it dated really well. You know, and that's, you know, the last of the Wealden faunas that we see in the Birimian. That's middle early Cretaceous. So when I first saw Gastonia, you know, I said, okay, this is probably Wealden age.
Yeah.
And we had an animal up in the Black Hills called Hoplitosaurus that had already been described as maybe even being Polacanthus.
Okay.
You know, certainly related.
Looks very
animal.
similar. Yeah.
And that was in rocks that were poorly dated, but you know, everybody had suggested that that was some of the oldest early Cretaceous known in North America.
Sure.
So I was thinking, okay, the rock record here starts at the Birimian, then we go up and we have our Deinonychus, Tyrannosaurus, Sauropelta fauna in the higher early Cretaceous, where we get Deinonychus. When we had Utah raptor popped up in our Gastonia quarry, I said, oh, we have a giant dromaeosaur. And a lot of people said, well, it's probably just a big Deinonychus.
Right.
Because a lot of people were of the mind that our early Cretaceous, which spans like 40 million years.
You thought it was just Cloverleaf.
It was all the same, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was almost of that conclusion. I thought we had an older fauna, more like England, and less like the Cloverleaf. And the early radiometric dates that were done by Brigham Young University from Dalton Wells, their dates, they got a maximum age based on detrital zircons. These are, little crystals that hold dates, uranium and lead in them.
Yeah.
And very tough. They're being reworked, but they have to pre-exist.
Sure.
So they had a maximum age. It has to be, no older than 124 in their mind, because there's crystal in those rocks. And it was funny because the time scale at that time was different than it is now. They're see, you're off, Jim. And I used to joke that the age was 125, but they had just changed the time scale, so that became Aptian for a while. It's not anymore that number. See, you're wrong, Jim. It's not Barremian, it's Aptian. It's like, it's angels on pinheads, some of this stuff. But then later, we had a fellow from Germany that came over working with Rich Cifelli, looking at the mammals, and mustn't touch it. And he came through here with Scott Matson, and they found some ostracods over by the Poison Strip. Talked about that. And he said the ostracods suggested that the stuff was, like Jurassic, Cretaceous boundary. And everything else, I'm like, that doesn't make sense with what we got from the so-called radiometric zircon age, And then Scott got a site over at Lake Matson near Laurie's site, from the top of the Yellow Cat. And we showed
I'll be working there next month. I'm excited about
sample.
that. Yeah.
And the paleontologist looked at it, and his first number he came back, well, I think this is Albion. And I'm like, I think it's a lot older than that. So you sure? We really think it's a lot older. Then he comes back and says, well, maybe it's Jurassic or basal Cretaceous. So he jumps the age 40 million years, when we just raised the suspicion.
Yeah.
So well, that gives me a lot of confidence. So there was this big debate whether it's like Barremian or a lot younger, for a while. And certainly I was like, well, radiometric date, I'm not a dating guy, but to me that seems to be a harder thing to dispute. Well, then my colleagues that I was working with doing a thing called chemostratigraphy, mapping the rocks, the salts, and particularly the Ruby Ranch, which has a lot of salt in it.
Yeah.
We're looking at carbon in the world's atmosphere and how carbon-13 changes relative to carbon-12. Both non-radioactive. Carbon-14 is a radioactive one for dating. But you can look at the ratios. Long story, we don't want to go into that throughout the whole lecture. But you can look at this changing curve and correlate it to like global oxygen, deprivation events in the deep ocean.
So you can see that across the world
globally,
from different samples.
That's global signal.
So if you see that, it's from that particular time.
Yeah, if you get a big kick, the right interval. And it's nice to calibrate it with some ages.
Yeah.
So they were also looking to try to get better dating. So they did a bunch of dates in the sequence where we got the Utah raptor. And they sampled through the section, through the Yellow Cat, more than 3,000 zircons.
Wow.
Eventually they started with like 1,000 from 10 sites. Close to 3,000, 300. And not a single zircon was older than 120, than 130 million, the younger, 130 million, which puts it like below the Barremian.
Sure.
And then we had found pollen site at a place where Dawn went by today, Jim's Pond, got pollen, and Carol Houghton, the Smithsonian, is looking at this, and she's like, angiosperm samples. This stuff is old. And she thought it looked Barremian to me. It looks like some of the Purbeck stuff in England, which is Barremian, not Barremian, Berriasian.
Sure.
The base of the Cretaceous.
Right.
And then we started looking at the dates again Yeah,
So it's just
closer.
revising things earlier and earlier and
all of a
earlier.
sudden we
with each piece
realized
of data you find.
in the lower yellow cat, tied with these new zircon ages,
Yeah.
down here is like 142.
Right.
You know, so it's like, whoa, this is, whoa. And they started doing the curves and this stuff on looking at traces of organic carbon. How much organic rocks. And they pulled together a curve, Selena Suarez, and she got a peak at Lake Madsen, a big peak way down in these rocks. Weissert event, which is a Valentinian age, like 136 million year old.
Yeah.
Anoxic event, global signal, and calibrated dates. All of a sudden, this is in the upper yellow cat, right Utah Raptor mega block.
Yeah.
You know, they had it there too later when they redated that. Like, oh, that's Valentinian. We're going to pollen, the ostracods. This lower stuff is considerably, it's very hazy. Finally, we realized we have the complete record of the basal Cretaceous here in this basin. And this, you know, took a lot of people and a lot.
Yeah.
I know Brigham Young University still will not say. You know, you know, if you did an interview with them, like we did about a year ago at PBS, it's like, you know.
Well, that's the cool thing about science.
That's not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I have to listen and salute these people.
Right.
And they fight over that.
That's the cool thing about science, like I was going to say, is that we can have disagreements about this or that, but eventually we'll figure out what, you know, because science is not about having, you know, team sports. It's not Ford Chevy. Science is about testing ideas using evidence. So eventually,
Mike geochemistry, you know, just, you know, a ream of things.
Yeah.
You know, you know, Kate Ziegler was telling me poison strip is below the long normal. The base of the long normal is the base of the Aptian. But she was telling me those poison strip rocks, based on that being the first reversal that she saw. And her advisor kind of led her down a rosy path. So, you know, she never really went with publishing that. She should have. Because she was on the right track. So paleomag. We need a lot more paleomag. And these are not rocks that get good signals from. But, you know, paleomagnetics science may get better. And we get a better paleomagnetic profile. Maybe I'll date these rocks more precisely. You know, it's all ongoing. It's a learning curve.
Right.
You know, I like to say we're still looking up the learning curve. But, you know, we are getting up that slope some. You know, and there's, you know, decades of science that be happening. But we now have the overall framework, I think, laid out.
Nice. Again, it's an exciting time to be working on this.
45 million year history of North America that we never knew existed before.
Just here in Utah, in the Cedar Mountain Formation. Pretty incredible.
You know, that's 2/3 of the entire length of the age of mammals.
Right. That's a tremendous time.
Incredible record.
Yeah.
And it's when flowering plants originate, take over. And it's, you know, modern types of mammal time. You know, we have the mass extinction of the Jurassic. We're seeing this stuff is right down at the base of the Cretaceous. Almost none of our famous Morrison Jurassic Park dinosaurs survive into these rocks.
Right.
You know, that's
a
huge.
Big turnover.
The most famous dinosaur faunas on the planet. Almost has 100% extinction.
Almost obliterated. And you just get a new cast of characters showing up, new dinosaurs.
And then within the middle of
is what we have here.
We have another mass extinction in the middle of it.
Right.
That's probably related to another asteroid impact in Hong Kong, Java. You know, in Indonesia. You know, so then you go up to where Alaska forms, and we have an immigration-induced
like we were talking about, all these critters coming in from Asia and shaking things up.
We have an immigration-induced extinction. Like the Great American Faunal Interchange. There's just like fireworks going off if you're a scientist. Just, you know, these big concepts.
It's
and using chemistry, physics, biology, geology. You know, all working together. We will work out a history that is going to be very interesting.
It's a privilege to be part of it, Jim. It's this is exciting stuff. Thanks for.
Stay tuned.
You
know, figure you're young. And I wish I was going to live another 100 years.
Who knows? You might.
I might.
One can hope. Let's cross our fingers.
But this stuff is going to be a major part of the global story. You know. And that book is the first
Yeah,
time we're getting
I'll show you the book in
out.
a minute, chat. We're very excited about this.
I'm going to Europe to present on a lot of this stuff.
That's exciting. Yeah.
And I was like, guys.
You tell them what's what.
Yeah, well, tell them, like, we need more people looking at this. Using it. Because Europe also has a pretty good record.
Yeah.
Pretty Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah.
It's another new frontier.
Yeah.
Spain, Portugal. Real exciting.
Well, don't want to miss this. Egan putting some separator on this jacket over here. So gotten it pared down pretty well here. It's a lot of work. He's been very carefully looking for bone and stuff in there too. So managed to carve a lot of weight off of this. So now he's putting some layers of wet paper towel on there. So this is just to act as a layer of separator before we put on more burlap and plaster. You don't want that stuff sticking directly to the rock or to the bone. So.
Okay, where did I put my drink?
Yeah.
Did I finish that one?
Drink. Yeah, I think it was spent, yeah.
That one's spent.
Danny, do you know if we have any other paper towel rolls here?
I saw one in an action packer. Yeah, let me grab it. Yeah. So anyway, well, I can be a little bit more attentive to chat now. Ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Always cool to have a sit down with Jim and talk about big picture stuff in paleontology, and a lot of details too. All right, got almost a full roll here. That be enough, or do we need more?
That's good for now.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let me go get some water. But we had a question about Jurassic Park and what I think of it. I really like the first movie. They kind of get progressively worse. Then you get to Jurassic World, and they really lose the plot. You get all these made-up hybrid monster dinosaur things, and I just don't have any patience for that. And I think it's completely missing the point. The reason why people go to see these movies is because they want to see dinosaurs. They don't want to see made-up fictional monsters. You know, dinosaurs are fascinating because they're real, because they're authentic, because they actually lived here on Earth. Real things about them. That's why we're here, out in the field. You know, you turn dinosaurs. You know, another. You know. B movie monster, and it's just. You're fundamentally losing track of what makes dinosaurs. And I don't understand how Hollywood executives can be incredibly naive and blind to that, you know? But, yeah. I guess you make enough money and then people can't tell you you're wrong anymore. It's like having a permanent cognitive impairment. Too much. Surrounded by yes men. Anyway, don't get me started. Looking at chat. So humbly, I think we're only scratching the surface of this. Absolutely, there, Cosmological Kev. Yeah. And Shiva MT. That is. I don't know. I hate that argument. The first Jurassic Park film was great. It's a modern classic. Sure, I guess things were technically hybrids in that, but it doesn't actually show up in the film at all, except for a subplot that doesn't really go anywhere about the dinosaurs breeding. The dinosaurs in that were supposed to be dinosaurs. That was the whole point. Spielberg himself said this in producing the movie. He wanted people to feel like they were looking at real dinosaurs. And I think if the Jurassic World series were to return to that, I think that would be a breath of fresh air. I think they could do some really cool, interesting things, because honestly, people are tired of the made-up monsters. It's just... Yeah. A post on Blue Sky I saw the other day, which really made me laugh. It was like not right after I saw it, the latest Jurassic World Afterbirth. And it was like, here I am in the theater watching Jurassic World 12. A weird monster thing that looks like it's from Pacific Rim rips a man in half as the John Williams score plays in the background. I feel nothing, you know? Just, people are tired of garbage. It's time for real dinosaurs, you know? It's my opinion as a paleontologist. Anywho. And Sourdough says, speaking of monsters, have there been any more breakdowns of dragon origins given paleontology knowledge? There's a great book about this, actually. Shoot. It's by, I think, Phil Center, Senter. And it's called something like Dinosaurs and Dragons, The Real Story. But in that, he basically breaks down a lot of these purported links between, you know, dinosaur fossils and dragon legends. And he basically shows that there isn't really a connection at all. Dragon legends pretty much predate the discovery of dinosaur fossils, or really their... there's much less of a connection than you might otherwise expect. This in a way that's... the book out if you're the camera down and let me get all right, hopefully that holds. The camera fell over. And let's see. Here, hang on a sec. There we go. Let's see. There we go, Claire. That's it. Yeah. By Phil Center. Beautiful. And Sad Blobfish says, I wonder what inspired people to come up with dragons then? Well, here's the ultimate thing, is that dragons are not a thing. Like, we've got an English word, dragon, that essentially meant the same That's my understanding anyway, having read Phil Center's book. You should check it out if you find it interesting. Yeah. And let's see, statistics, power draw. I don't know, I think Starlink might be having some major issues right now. Sorry, not my fault. Anywho, yeah. Audio 4 minutes? Gosh darn it. Okay. Well, I was talking about, somebody in the chat brought up, like, oh, well, does studying fossils help us understand dragon myths better? The answer is no, because it's not related to fossils, really. You'll see this, like, kind of lazy writing in a lot of popular science books. You know, the Chinese idea of dragons because they found dinosaur fossils. Not true. Later on, after they'd come up with myths and legends about dragons and stuff, sometimes they would find fossils of big vertebrate and dragon bones, but I don't think they even meant that literally. It was just kind of like, yeah, the bones of big animals, I guess. But essentially, what I was saying earlier, the Chinese, or I guess following on to that, Japanese conception of a dragon, they didn't call them dragons. It's completely different from like European dragon legends. The word dragon in Old English basically translates to like serpent or snake or something, and it was just a term that people used for reptiles. Alligators, lizards. Well, they didn't know about alligators, but you know, crocodiles, lizards, snakes, legless lizards, things like that. These were serpents, reptiles, dragons. And then later on they came up with like, you know, supernatural legends about dragons and stuff, St. George and the dragon, all that stuff. Whereas, you know, way over in Asia, people, the thing that we call dragons from like Chinese folklore, it's completely different. It's essentially like a deity. It's something that would fly through the air, disappear and appear at will. It controlled the weather. You know, it's made of like a whole bunch of different animals mixed together. You know, the scales of a fish, the claws of a rooster, the arms of a lion, the whiskers of a catfish, the horns of an antelope, etc. You know, it was supposed to be like, you know, essentially like a spiritual deity type thing. So saying that, oh, the Chinese and you know, Europeans and people in Mayan civilizations, people all around the world had myths of dragons. It's like, no, you're just applying that term to things that are completely different from one another and entirely unrelated. So you should check out Phil Center's book if you want to learn more about this, because he actually goes into a lot of the folklore. He explores its origins. He compares that to like fossil organisms and shows that there's no relation whatsoever. Yeah, so I'd recommend it. Check it out if you're interested. Yeah. Yeah. And anywho, yeah. Let's see. From Kaz Uya, got a question. How are you able to identify dinosaur tracks or footprints? And what can you tell you about a dinosaur? So, it might surprise some people to footprints. By the numbers, they're probably more common than dinosaur bones. It takes a skilled eye to be able to see them sometimes, but kinds of deposits. When we were in St. George, Utah, a few months back. So an animal was doing while it was alive. You know, when we look at fossil bones, that's the carcass of the animal. That's after it died, you know? It's difficult to infer behavior from bones and teeth and stuff like that. You can do it, but it's like one level removed from when the animal was alive, you know? You look at footprints and it shows you what these animals were actually doing. You don't have to speculate or guess. It's like you can figure it out based on the trackways. If you want to know how fast they were moving, you want to figure out how they held their limbs, what kind of posture they had, you look at how closely spaced the tracks are. All the dinosaurs held their limbs underneath their body, like we talked about yesterday. It sprawled out to the side, but directly under their bodies. We know this because that's how the bones fit together. With even greater certainty, because that's what the trackway. Throw sets of footprints side by side, these dinosaurs around with their limbs directly underneath their bodies. And so trackways can give us insight into dinosaur behavior in a way that is difficult to get with other kinds of fossil evidence. Does that make sense? And how do we identify them? It's really difficult to match a type of footprint to a type of dinosaur. So our solution to that is we just give them different names. So down in St. George, Utah, where we were a few months ago, we had a few different kinds of dinosaur footprint there. And they're named different names just based on the size and the morphology and stuff like that, the shape of the footprint. So down there we've got Eubrontes, which is clearly a big three-toed meat-eating dinosaur. It's something probably kind of similar to like Dilophosaurus. That's the closest dinosaur skeleton we have that would roughly match that. But they're still separated by millions of years. So we don't know who left those footprints. We don't have a skeleton for that dinosaur yet. So we just have a name for that shape of footprint. We call it Eubrontes. And the animal we would call the Eubrontes trackmaker. But Eubrontes is just a name for the footprints. Does that make sense? Matching up a particular to a footprint, because oftentimes you'll have multiple dinosaurs in a given fauna that all had kind of similar shaped feet. One was leaving the tracks. Hard to say. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope that answers. Yeah. There used to be some doubt over whether dinosaurs could swim. Non-bird dinosaurs. Could there? And some people, they're way too heavy. Some people have been able to swim. Most animals can. And down in St. George and a few other places around the world, they started finding swim traces from dinosaurs. So sometimes it even starts up on the banks where you've got footprints that are in like mud along the lake, and then it goes down the beach, and then you've got this whole thing preserved, and then they're clearly going into the water, and those footprints where they're just stepping in the mud turn into just scraping because the animals are moving down into the water column, they're being buoyed up by the water, they're floating, and it's just scratching along. So we call those swim tracks. We've got a but I've been doing this for a long time. I know what I'm doing. Please. Yeah. Yeah, it just is what it is today. Sorry. Let me know when we're back. Oh, we're back. Okay, thank you, Charlie's Dragon. Let me go get some more water, too. But, no, it's just, we're having Starlink issues today. There was that other day when it went down because apparently Elon Musk decided to shut down Starlink. That military offensive that the Ukrainians were trying to do against the Russians. He was like trying to put his kill a bunch of Ukrainians, I guess. That's why we couldn't stream that day. Remember when that happened? When the Starlink just wasn't working? Nuts, right? Yeah. Apparently the people who work at Starlink were like livid over this. They're like, he did what? Anyway, I'm eager to get more details about that. We don't have activity out here. I basically only have the internet on while we're streaming. So I'm eager to get the full story when I get home. Yeah. But yeah. Kendall White says you're saying it wasn't a software error that took out one of the local mobile networks, that it's some tinfoil hat conspiracy theories? I mean, look at news articles. I'm not making this up, you know? This was the same day that Starlink wasn't working here and I couldn't stream. That was the same day that, you know, that all that went down in the war in the Ukraine. Murph says he said he did it. Yeah. And out there, what have you found this season or dig? Great questions. We've been out here for, it'll be 3 weeks as of Wednesday. So this is day 20 of digging. And we found a, we're gonna be off. A fibula, I did that label there, and a metatarsal, and a vert. Different elements, ribs, scapulae, all kinds of different, each one of them important. And then in here, in this enormous bones, and some hip bones too, altogether. So, putting a cap on this jacket. We flipped this one at the end of stream yesterday. And so we're getting this from the...
If anyone's made any stills of that image, copies.
I replied to your Blue Sky post, Jim, with the clip. So,
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
then I can freeze it.
yeah, for sure. Grab some screenshots. I'll send you
Yeah.
when I get home.
My phone died before the critical moment.
Is it charged now? Is it doing okay? Okay, nice. Yeah. It's what we call a field jacket. If you're new to these streams, and this might be... But the way that we get these bones out of the ground safely without them is to put a field jacket around them. So it's like a protective cocoon made out of burlap soaked in plaster of Paris. And so we'll use that protective cocoon to bring it back to the laboratory without it crumbling, and then we'll open it carefully when we get there. So that's one of the things that Ethan does. Utah Geological Survey is prepping these jackets, the bones, and getting them ready for scientific study. Yeah. Anywho.
Yep, Donald will be real happy.
But yeah. And thank you, Sleeping Karma, for being here. I appreciate you. It's been a joy having you here. Yeah.
Sorry, let's do another inch.
Sorry. No, you're good.
Anywho.
Yeah, that might be good.
Yeah, sweet.
You're doing so much burlap there.
Yeah.
So, anywho, let me get some more water and answer some more questions. How's the signal been? Is it continuing to drop in and out? Yeah. It's pretty spotty. I'm sorry about that. On our last stream of the season, too. That's really annoying. My apologies. It's, sometimes the Starlink just doesn't really... as advertised. It's one of those days. But yeah, anyway, Jack Bullen, yeah, that's Jim Kirkland. The same guy who Utah Raptor in Gastonia. Jim has been digging dinosaurs for... I think this is his 50 dinosaurs on the Colorado Plateau here in the American Southwest. Yeah, so he's been an author on probably 20 different new kinds of dinosaur, and there's more coming up. So it's always a joy to have Jim around, just a fount of knowledge. And yeah. Oh, big old lizard there. Look at that leopard. Oh, there you go. Whoop. Going around the other side. Oh, I think. It's good staying cool in the desert heat. We got a lot of really cool lizards around here. Side block leopard lizards, collared lizards. I think I saw a sagebrush lizard yesterday. Really cool. These are pretty awesome. Yeah. Anywho. Here, let's get some more water. Need some help cutting? Let's do it. All right, something to do.
Do we know where the knife is?
We have got the scissors nearby, don't we?
Well, for cutting big rollers, they need the knife.
Huh.
Saw through it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know where the knife is.
It's alright. Well, we just need the scissors right there, and those will work just fine. And you don't really need help necessarily.
Okay.
But
All right.
they're right next to you guys.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah,
Just as fast as you can, give me like 5 or 6 1 square foot. We get
1 square foot ones? The squares?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would get that.
Yeah. Can you hold this corner here like that? Nice.
He sucks.
I like just as good. It's plaster and fiber. Chopped up hay and plaster will make a jacket. Well, you're gonna rub stuff on top of it later anyway. But, I mean, literally, and all that Gobi stuff.
Locate your shirt.
Yeah.
It just chopped it with plaster, and that's how they make jackets.
The accidental tailoring.
It also makes it a kind of a pain to saw it too. These strands.
I love these fabric shears. I bought these through last year,
Oh, they are
so we
awesome.
wouldn't have to use like a rusty bread knife or whatever.
Maybe if it's all we had, I'd use like that. We got nice deal.
Is that enough, you think?
Really good. Always have.
I'll take
6
Oh no, that's great. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, cool.
I mean, you might as we don't need it immediately, but you might as well give it double that.
Sure.
We'll be needing it probably shortly just to get the finishing touches.
Just doing squares.
Yeah, I know.
Can you give
I
Tegan
don't
those
get it
strips?
either,
and see
but
if-
whatever.
You're good, thank you.
That's like my last one in this batch. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, put the knife somewhere else.
Excellent. Thanks, man. Be able to jump in and do something. Jacket's looking good. Have you tried it yet? Like, how heavy is it?
I can budget. Can't move. I can't like lift it alone.
Yeah.
5 or 6 people probably can inch
Nice.
over there slowly.
Yeah. Get this done before the end of the day, I hope.
Maybe.
That'd be awesome. All right, cool.
Maybe I'll do it when it's a little cooler.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Good stuff. Any other questions or anything? Let's see. Two toads. Oh, very cool, Petrodactylus. Nice. We've had lizards left and right here since we arrived this season. It's been pretty awesome. I think they had a good spring, and now there's all kinds of big lizards, small lizards, fat ones, skinny ones, ones that climb on rocks. The picture today, there was a lizard that kind of got spooked by the jackhammer and just went and crawled up into my hand. I'm not sure if it's a side blotch lizard or a sagebrush lizard. I think it's one of those two. But kind of a magical moment. She just hung out there in my hand for a little while. And opened her mouth like she was gonna bite me, and then just kind of went getting some salt off of my hand. But yeah, super fun. Yeah. Is Marcy walks dogs? Yeah. Not quite a bit. Less than full grown for sure. Whether it was a side blotch or a sagebrush lizard, I've definitely seen. And this one was pretty small. That's it for water in here. Still a little bit of ice, so I'll make sure that's nice and sealed. Anywho, yeah. And Ms. Rule says, did you put it on iNaturalist? That species. It couldn't actually tell me whether it was a side blotched or a sagebrush lizard, but I already have both of those species logged. So I don't think I logged it. I'm trying to have more new species and fewer IDs of the same species. But yeah. Anywho. Let's see. Oh, and we had a great question earlier from True Love. Let's see. Oh, and Ken is here. How are you doing, Ken? I hope you're having a good day. Hello, hello. It's good to have you here. How are things, Ken? I can't even find that message. Shoot. Oh, how do you determine who does what job on site? So a big part of that is just who's here at one particular time. We've only got like one big project in the quarry today, and that's, you know, that great big jacket. So for the majority of today, it's been a one-man job, and Ethan jumped on that. He's been paring away the underside of the jacket, like just removing a bunch of rock so that we can get it lightweight enough to lift by hand. And then, yeah, Ethan and Tegan and Luke here have been working on jacketing this thing. So putting a bottom layer on it, and it's looking good, looking very good. Holy cow. It's gonna be so nice to have that thing in the truck. Shoot. It's a lot of work. And this is by far our biggest jacket, I think, in the past years. So that's nice. And now that that's jacket, just gotta let it dry. Maybe we'll come back later when it's cooler to move it, like Ethan was saying. But that's nice. We can think about wrapping up for the day. That was our big task. Now we can start to close out the quarry, because we've got to be out of here on Wednesday. So, oh man, that's nice. Makes me smile.
Maybe get all the
Yeah, and that's the legs from last year. Exactly, Claire. Yeah. Rushwing says, is there anything you're leaving for next year? Probably a few of the bones that are kind of going into the side of the quarry there, into that wall. Some of those will probably put a winter jacket for next year. Hopefully we'll be able to come back next year. Like I was saying, the state of states is dire right now, and we might not have the budget to be able to come out next year. As inexpensive as it is to be able to run this kind of field work, you know, we're doing this on a budget of like $1,000 or something for 3 weeks. That might be too much to ask from the state of Utah next year. I don't know, I gotta constantly remind myself of this kind of thing. I'm from California, so, you know, I'm kind of spoiled. The San Francisco Bay Area, just the 9 counties that surround San Francisco Bay and Sassoon Bay and surrounding waterways. The economy of the Bay Area is like multiple times the size of the entire state of Utah's economy. Yeah. In fact, the Bay Area, there's like 38 states or something like that. The Bay Area has a larger economy than all of them. Not put together, but independently. So there's unfortunately not a lot of money available for doing things like digging up new dinosaurs, even though dinosaurs bring in millions of tourist dollars every year to the state of Utah. We're trying to make the case that, hey, this work is exciting and important and valuable and extraordinarily cost-effective. We're digging up a brand new species of dinosaur here, one that people are going to want to see from around the world. We'd love to see this work get funded. We'd love to be able to continue doing this, but that's not really a political priority in Utah, or frankly, in the rest of the United States right now. It's looking pretty grim. Yeah. Yeah, anywho. But yeah. AI to write my laser. Ugh, no, Martin Den. Sooner jump off a bridge. My biggest regret in my academic life, I don't know. I've got a few things that could have been regrets, except things have been going so well since then. I don't know. I've had kind of an unconventional path in paleontology so far. Like in my career, I've you know, I'm not in the traditional academic track anymore. I do science outreach full time, and that allows me to travel and do field work and conduct research and make my own schedule, be my own boss, play by my own rules. And that's been a tremendous positive thing in my life. And I almost feel like coming up with a list of regrets is like, would be ungrateful. I don't want to do that. Things are really good for me. I'm very happy where I'm at, and I'm living the dream. So, yeah, I'm gonna say no regrets. If I'd gone the, typical traditional academic route, I would probably be hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. And who knows if I'd actually have a job, and if I did, even if it were in academia, who knows if I would be happy, Academia is a rat race, and I'm really lucky to exist peripherally to it and not have to deal with the committee meetings and the grant proposals and just all of the bureaucracy that exists in university or sometimes even in museum systems like that. I get to do the fun part of paleontology. I get to do excavations. I get to talk with other paleontologists. I get to conduct research and publish it. I get to go to conferences and discuss my work with other people and discuss their work with them. It's pretty stellar, and I'm very lucky, and it's only thanks to the generosity, the support of this audience that I can do that, Yeah. Oh boy, Volcano Doc says $168,000 in student loan debt over here, and I make a whopping $65K a year as a tenure-track professor. It's not a fun life. I'm sorry, Volcano Doc, shoot. This is what I'm talking about, yeah. And I've got a tremendous amount of respect for you, Volcano Doc. Like, that's the thing, is that Volcano Doc is one of the lucky ones. She's got an excellent tenure-track job, and it's prestigious and very like, there's a certain degree of cred that comes with that, Like, a lot of people look up to Volcano Doc. It's kind of funny that, like, we've got these hierarchies within academia where, everybody wants that tenure-track job. It's so difficult to get, and then when you get it, sometimes you're miserable. I'm not saying Volcano Doc is miserable. I'm sure she's doing important things and finding fulfillment in that job. But it's very unglamorous. It's funny, like, in paleontology, I tell people that I tell my colleagues, yeah, I do live streams for a living. I'm full-time with science outreach. To older folks, look, are you really a real scientist then? If you're just doing outreach all the time, does that count? If you're not within this bureaucratic structure of academia, then it's like, maybe I don't want to be if it's going to be like that, And then I talk to younger people, people who are starting off in this academic rat race, and they go, holy cow, that is so cool. You get to live stream full time on Twitch? The generational divide that you see there. Yeah, so I've got high hopes that this summon, because I think it's really effective. Volcano Doc can back me up on this, like being able to have real-time conversation. It's impactful. It's a human face. Authentic, unedited, real-time, interactive. You kind of can't beat that, I'm so proud to be able to do this. It's such a privilege, and I die when I hit that go live button, despite the technical difficulties and the equipment failure that we get out here and all that stuff. It's still a joy to do this, and I look forward. It's very important. Likewise, shoot, yeah. But yeah. Anywho, good stuff. I'll give it another minute, see if people have got other questions, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up, because, yeah, I've got a few emails that I got to send out about TwitchCon and stuff. And I want to do that before we pack up today. And also I'm getting Find some more water too, because I just went through that whole water bottle. Yeah. Think folks have slowed on questions? Okay. And yep, Martine Den, I do not upload my VODs to YouTube. Claire Burr does, our loyal and beloved moderator and video editor. Claire usually just uploads the VODs wholesale to YouTube, unedited. I think that unedited part, it makes it easier and, you know, it's authentic. Yeah, so big shout out to Claire Burr there for taking care of that each and every stream. I appreciate that tremendously. It's the real VOD, exactly, Claire, yeah. And League 7-3, biscuits and gravy. I enjoy biscuits and gravy, as long as the gravy's vegetarian, yeah. 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 What's the last meal in camp going to be? Probably leftovers. Geeks Tour. In fact, that's something we got to figure out. What are we eating tonight? I'm surprised Don isn't back yet. I hope it didn't take too long to get his stitches. Back to the hospital today to get his stitches removed from when we had that shade tarp accident. That happened live on stream a couple weeks ago. You remember that? Anywho, they're not super busy today. He could just get in and out, and I'm not sure if that happened because he's not back yet. Yeah. How about, are you looking forward to a shower? Yeah. This is not as much as I was coming back from Wyoming. That was much dirtier work out there. Working at Turtle Hill, there's coal dust everywhere, and it just gets into every pore on your skin, all over your body. This is comparatively a lot easier. Yeah, and there's also a lot less hiking and stuff here, you know, which is, on the one hand, not ideal. I love the walk every day. I walk at least a few miles every day, and I've not been doing that here. We walk from the quarry to camp and back, and that's it. But as a result, not getting nearly as sweaty, not getting nearly as filthy. The rock here is significantly cleaner than the rock in Wyoming. There's a lot more topsoil there. It's not as dry there as it is here. So here it's just sand, a little bit of dust, and rock. There you've got soil and all kinds of stuff. A lot dirtier out in Wyoming. This has been a breeze. It kind of, yeah, compared to Wyoming, this feels like a vacation, you know? Anywho, with that being said, I stream from here in Utah for the season. There's a slight chance I'll stream tomorrow. Make any promises? I probably won't. So let's say sayonara for now, and let's find somebody to raid into. I'll be streaming again. It might be about a week until my next stream, actually, because I'm going to be traveling back home to California, and I've got a lot of tasks I got to take care of there before I get back on stream. So yeah, count on a stream next Monday. Yeah. Anyway, let's find somebody else to raid. Come on, Twitch app. Who else have we got? Scrolling. I Paint Burbs is on. Well. Let's go raid into I Paint Burbs. Birds are indeed living dinosaurs. So relevant. And I couldn't do it with of all those subscribers and gifters and cheerers and everybody who supports this channel financially. It's I'm deeply humbled and deeply grateful. The same goes for the moderators who show up day in and day out and keep this a safe and welcoming community for all of us and keep me from losing my mind. Thank you for, you know, keeping chat in check. I appreciate that, mods, more than you know. Anyway, without further ado, let's go right into I Paint Burbs, and take care. Bye-bye.